This meeting of the Richlands Town Council will now come to order. Would you please stand for the invocation and the pledge? And I've asked Elaine Holmes to lead the invocation. Elaine?
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate each of our council members and the staff that are doing what they feel like is excellent for our county and for our town. We appreciate each of the members in the town council. We pray that everything that we do will glorify you and that we will be a service to our community and reflect the goodness of our community. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, we have before us an agenda for our regular meeting. And so before we move on, I will ask, is there anyone present in council who would like to speak under unscheduled public comments, 3 minutes? Anyone present? Okay. Let's see. Ernest? Okay, hold on. Dinah, right? Okay. Dinah Taylor, former member of council. Anyone else who would like to speak in the 3-minute unscheduled public comments? Okay, there being no one else, we will move forward. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda at this time? Yes, sir.
Yes, Mayor. In our haste to get the agenda ready, we left off the agenda item for the Greenfield property. Can we add that to the agenda to have you vote on the conditional use
Okay,
permit?
where would you like it, Jason?
That would be G under agenda items.
7G.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be the Greenfield property, right?
Yes, sir.
Greenfield Drive.
And apologies for that being left off the agenda.
No problem. Council, so we'll add under Roman numeral 7G, Greenfield Drive, the discussion vote. Okay. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, I just have one grammatical thing under the executive closed session. It's pending litigation. This Virginia Code section is 2.2-3711.
2.2-3711. A7?
Yes.
So we need a dash in there. Is that correct? Okay. Any other additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Council or staff? Okay, there being no further changes to the agenda, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Laura makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rick makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the agenda as amended? There being no discussion, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Seth,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Jan,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Now, we're on Roman numeral 4A, authorization to pay the bills. You should have before you the check registers. Check register. Let's see here. Okay. Are there any questions about the check register?
I do have a couple questions.
Yes.
Check 15733. It's for Anthony Cox for Rec Park supplies and Town Hall supplies for $734.
That's concession supplies. At that time, Anthony did not have a credit card. He used his own personal card to go purchase those, and this is a reimbursement.
Okay. Does he have a card now?
He does.
Okay. 15754 for the A&S sanitation for the porta potties at Critterville. Is that forever, the porta potties, or?
I'm not sure how many months that is for. I can double check and find out and get that information back to council.
Okay. And then the other one was 15756, but I assume that's going to be the same situation as the first.
Yes, ma'am.
Just-
And
okay.
that's the reason why we have made an adjustment to get a couple of extra credit cards for some department heads to alleviate this.
Okay.
Because it creates a conundrum, because now I have a department head that's used its own personal amount to be able to go and cover this. Then I have to go and cut them a check. That means that I have time, staff time involved in all of this, where I could just go and use a credit card and be able to move on.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any other questions regarding the check register?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay. Rick makes a motion to pay the bills, to authorize the manager to pay the bills. Is there a second to
Second.
this motion? All right, is there, the motion has, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion on this motion regarding payment of our bills? Hearing no further discussion or questions, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Seth?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
And Laura?
Yes.
It carries, it is unanimous. Jason, you're authorized to pay the bills. Thank you. All right, next we have approval of minutes. We have several sets of minutes. The May 14th, 2024 public hearing on proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. The May 14th, 2024 public hearing on rates. The May 14th, 2024 regular schedule meeting, and the May 28th special called meeting. We have several sets before us, council.
I make the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion to approve the four sets of minutes. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. To approve them as presented. And there made a motion by Laura and a second by Rick. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on this motion, council? There being no discussion, Amanda, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Seth?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan? And
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is Roman numeral comments. Jacob Van Dyke. Jacob, would you keep time? Thank you. Thank you, Jacob.
Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Town Manager. I gotta say, I'm feeling rather hopeful today, but I'd like to start out by echoing the words of Martin Luther King from his historic and most iconic speech. You know, those words being, "I have a dream." Y'all may be very familiar with it. But today, before y'all, I echo that same sentiment. I have a dream as well. Although it's a very different dream and used in different contexts and a different set of circumstance, I do have a dream, and that dream is that the future is a better future and a better tomorrow for the town of Richlands and all of its citizens. I have a dream that one day this town, the town of Richlands, will be a more affordable place to live. And one day citizens will no longer have to live paycheck to paycheck and struggle daily to make ends meet just to keep the lights and food and put food on their table. That our utilities and taxes will be so low, and that it will be the envy of other towns and communities who do not reside within these town limits. I have a dream that all these empty buildings here in this small town will once again be filled with thriving, successful small businesses, and that this town will be the thriving economy that it once was before. I have a dream that one day our children will have better parks to play in, and that there will be more recreation opportunities for everyone, and that we'll see the beautification of our downtown area. I have a dream that one day we might have more elected officials within this government that are truly representative of the people and who will put the citizens in their interests first. I have a dream that one day the forgotten man or woman will no longer be disregarded, and that their lived experience will finally be a good one. And most importantly, I have a dream of a more unified Richlands, and that all the polarization and division within this community will be healed. But here's the point. We can all dream of a better Richland. But dreams are intangible and will not become real unless we take the steps towards making them a reality. It's easy to dream. it's harder to making them a reality. These dreams that I mentioned can and will become reality through action, determination if pursued with energy and tenacity. I deeply believe that there are good things in store for this town. It is completely within our ability to make things better and to make these dreams a tangible reality. You know, I'm a younger guy. I'm the next upcoming generation. My generation will be the one who inherits this town and its success or its problems. And we'll all call this community, and it's our home. That's why I'm imploring this council and the citizens of this town to not let these dreams that we all equally share, we all want this town to do great, remain a dream or fall by the wayside. That we take the initiative, do the hard work, and become the agents of change ourselves to make all these dreams of a better and more prosperous Richlands come true. Thank you, and God bless Richlands.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, we're now in Roman numeral 6, unscheduled public comments. We have 2 speakers, Ernest Edgell. It's 3 minutes. Thank you, Ernest.
You need my address?
That would be nice, thank you.
206 Terry Drive, Richlands. I've heard talk that I live in Hidden Valley, and if anybody lives over there, they know there's a lot of speed. And the only sign is right there where you turn up a hill, and you're watching traffic stuff, and I'd say most people don't even know it's there. And I've heard that the town was ordering speed signs to put up so it would be, people couldn't say they didn't know what the speed limit was. Is that true?
I would defer to the manager or to our police officer about the signs.
We are in the process of looking at speed limit signs and speed postings throughout the town. Hidden Valley is one of the areas that we're looking to be able to do that. We want to make sure that we're getting good speed limit posting, but also the ones where they show what your speed is as you're going down the road. Those have been shown to be effective, but that's one of the things that we are looking to do this summer. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And some people park not completely in the street, but parking with their cars partially in the street. That, I don't think that's according to code.
I don't have that code off the top of my head, but we're also looking at parking signs throughout the town as well.
And what about garbage cans? I know over there it's Wednesday. I know people, you put them out the night before, but there's some places over there they set out all week, even after the garbage is picked up.
We will do our best to try to inform those citizens to get their garbage cans picked up.
Mm-hmm. And right there where you pull out of Hidden Valley to come to town, I think we've got a dangerous situation there because the traffic coming out of town is exceeding this. I'm pretty sure it's exceeding the speed limit in that turn, and it's hard to get out there sometimes.
Thank you, Ernest. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that your comments will be taken into serious consideration. Thank you very much.
Mayor Curry,
Yes.
can we ask, is that Matt back there? Can you pass that on to Chief Holt? Can you guys? Thank you very much. Mr. Edgell, I agree with you about the parking up there too. And I can say the past couple months, I don't know how many, but tickets have been written in Hidden Valley for speeding. I don't know about the parking, but I do know they are patrolling more up there and all around town.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ernest. Okay, moving on. Our next speaker is Dinah Taylor. Dinah, come forward. Good to see you, Dinah.
Good evening, Town Council. My name is Diana Taylor. I live at 519 Allegheny Street, Richlands, Virginia. I really didn't come prepared, but I decided since I was here with the Garden Club, I can go ahead and speak. We have a situation on 6th and Bland Street over there. It's actually 2 lots down below me. And I have been told, which I'm pretty sure, that one of those double wides is rat infested. I have been hearing gunshots of an evening, and the guy that lives in the trailer told the neighbors that he was shooting the rats in the trailer. So I think we need to do something about that situation. I had a dead rat behind my garage the other day. I had never seen a rat in 20-some years over there. So there is a rat infestation there, and it does need to be dealt with. I know that at one time the grass was up probably 3 foot high, So I'd like for that to be checked on and see what we can do about that.
Donna, thank you. I'm sure that Jason will address this.
And it's 6th and Bland Street. And since I am talking, I have a sister that lives over in, around the rec park. And the pool drains, they will let the water out of the pool and it drains right into her driveway and washes her gravels away. Now, beforehand, the town used to go ahead and haul gravels and repair her driveway. But she says she can't get nothing done. I don't think she's even spoke to anyone, to be honest with you. She's not the type that would say anything, but she does have some potholes that needs to be dealt with. And it's right there at the rec park, and you come around the barn and then go around that way. And I don't know. I know it's Cutlass Street or something like that's what it's called. So, okay?
Thank you,
Thank you
Diana,
very
very
much.
much. Thank you. Jason, if you'll follow up with those two, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. We're now on Roman numeral 7, agenda items. This, I think I just checked, last week was National Garden Week, and we're very fortunate to have members of the Richlands Garden Club with us this afternoon. So I will ask, I have some comments to say, but I spoke to Judy briefly before this meeting began. Judy, would you like to speak about the Garden Club and some of the things you've done? Thank you.
First of all, thank you for recognizing us and all that we're doing. We do plant the flowers around town, and we have a very good working relationship with the town workers. I appreciate all the work that they've done and help us with everything we do. We currently have 20 members, and we can't do all the heavy stuff like we used to do, so the town's been really good to help us with that. I think we have 7 here today. 8. We have 8 of our members. We currently have 20 members. We've grown in the last few years, and our main objective is the beautification of the town, and we try to do as much as we can throughout the year to beautify the town. Of course, this year we planted hung the baskets. The town hangs them for us. Kim's greenhouse plants them for us this year. I thought they did a really good job this year. They're very pretty. And of course, the bridge, and the town does water the bridge and the baskets for us. Providence Hall, we pay them, and they water all the other flowers for us. We maintain the 56 baskets. There's plantings at the bridge, the town hall, the park over at the post office, the Hidden Valley sign, and the signs coming into town. Of course, we bought all those signs too, by the way. And of course, we do the Christmas decorations. I want to say to the town, though, I'm encouraged by all the work I'm seeing going on around here right now. I think it really looks good. The roads are looking better. Looking forward to them being paved, especially Kent's Ridge, since I travel a lot. But I think we're on the up and up, and I think you all need to be commended as well for what you're doing. But we appreciate any recognition you've given us, and we look forward to working with you further.
Judy, thank you. Before you sit down, I say it all the time, you're talking to a man who loves flowers. I, along with the council, am particularly grateful for the work that you do for this town, you meaning plural, all of you, and the investment that you make in this town. It's flower power at its best, and it's the power of a group of dedicated citizens who are doing everything they can to make this town beautiful and attractive. It represents face value when you see anything, the first thing you look, all you know is what you see. And that is a good thing for Richlands. And we're very appreciative of what you do. A couple of things I would like to highlight. Do you also plant some of the things here at the town hall? And,
Yes, the baskets in front.
The baskets in front and
Pots,
around
yeah.
are the result of the Richlands Garden
Right,
Club.
yes.
Several members are here. And I take note of that. The bridge, we've had baskets for years, and every year they get better. And I too will echo Kim Santola, or Kim Campbell, who does a great job of preparing these things for the communities. And when you go there and you see, she'll say, this is Richlands, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. It's really impressive. And I'm just so thankful that you guys are out here doing something to make our lives brighter and prettier. And it's a place we want to show off. And I want to talk a little bit about the bridge. A few years back, I know that you guys started putting flowers on the bridge in those baskets. And I think it is a wonderful improvement. And we'll be having a new bridge at some point in time, sooner than later. And I think the decorations that you do for that will be outstanding. And I also want to mention how the Garden Club participates in this community. One was with the section house. When the section house was just an idea, they pledged $3,000 that they gave the section house. It helped to meet our match, and we're very grateful for that. And that money, we have just about used it all. The baskets that we have at the section house are the result of our work and your work, and working in tandem is so important, and that's where we do get along. And I'm grateful for that. I'm looking at lifelong gardeners out here who have a stake in it, and I appreciate it so much. And on behalf of the Section House Board and this council, I want to say thank you. And the other thing is at Christmas, you have ornaments. You sell ornaments.
Yeah, I forgot to mention.
And that's okay. I have a lot of these ornaments. A couple of them I have them twice, and that's okay. I give them to my family. And sometimes in my house, if I can get it together, I have a tree of Garden Club ornaments, a small one, but it's very memorable to me. And there are people who have collected them for years. They really are keepsakes. Thank you.
I forgot to mention that our new ornament this year is the old bus station, and it will have an old bus in front of it. So
Wonderful.
It's-
This place. Wonderful,
it's in the
wonderful.
process now. We've sent it to the manufacturer, and they're working on the design for it.
Well,
And
I
that
will
is
say
their major
this.
fundraiser. So.
If Shirley Davis could be here on behalf of Urban, she would be so grateful. He took great pride in that and understood the historical significance, and that carries forward with the present owner. And these are important parts of Richlands. And I want to say thank you. And I'm not just yammering on to hear myself talk. I mean it. And I want to say thank you. And to those present, may we get a picture with you?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Also, we had some volunteers that we drag our husbands out to help us too, so we do have some volunteers.
Oh, one more thing.
We had about, when I worked on the bridge, there was 15 of us the day that we planted the flowers, and we did it all within about 2 hours, which I thought was amazing, all that we planted throughout town. So.
Well, we're so excited about it, and I'm a believer in flower power. And so I go back to Haight-Ashbury and San Francisco, and I want to say thank you for that. And that being said, at the section house, you guys landscaped some of that for us, and in the 3 rectangles in the back, the last money we've used was your money, and we bought seeds. And but you gave it to us, and we're planting. Kim Santola has them ready. I'm going to pick them up Thursday and come back, and we'll plant those. And thank you. They're zinnias. It should be beautiful. Thank you. Would you please come forward so we can have a photograph, please? Come on, guys. Just go down here, okay? Just right in front. Whatever way you guys feel comfortable. I think the garden club would need to be at the center. We'll hug it. Can you take another? I got a hug up a little bit. Thank you. Ladies, thank you. Thank you.
I thought about it all the time. I try not to think about it.
Mary, thank you.
The guy who was the first, over the bus station, he had his belt buckle. And so Shirley took some stuff off and framed it up. I got that in my office. It's like his belt buckle, a picture of him and WBA when they buried a $50 or a silver dollar in the foundation, and this screw and stuff, some tickets, some old bus tickets.
It's a wonder if you had to have a Greyhound bus sitting there and restore that back.
Absolutely.
It's a wonder if he had to store that back like he did on
That was, he wanted to.
Council, Town Manager May has requested a 10-minute recess, so we are recessed for 10 minutes. Thank you. Seth, I think that's one. This meeting of the Richlands Town Council will now come back into order. We are on Roman numeral 7, Stephen Gooch Rescue Collections, and I will defer to Jason for this, please.
Thank you, Mayor. What you have in front of you is a letter from Mr. Gooch dated March 29th of 2024. In that letter, he states that he's retiring, and he is no longer going to be able to provide services for us in the rescue collection field. He has made a recommendation. It is on the second page, bullet number 1 up at the top. We've done a little bit of background research. There's not an awful lot of folks that are in this field. And so from staff's point of view, we would make the recommendation to be able to move seamlessly from Mr. Gooch to Mark Hanner with Hanner Law Firm down in Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Does this not require an RFP?
Our usual collections, fees that we pay out for him is probably around $8,000 to $9,000, so it's under the $10,000 threshold. But if we will go back and double check that, if it is over the $10,000, we'll bring you an RFP next month.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I would mention, I know when I was on the Board of Supervisors, we had a company that we worked with that did this, and I'm not sure if that's been a while. So I don't know if there was
And I'll reach out to Eric and see if
there might have been some benefit of economies of scale or something. I don't know if we can just look into
that
that.
here in just a second with the grant writing. So that I'll reach out to Eric and double check. And we'll let me do a little bit more research on the actual amount that we pay, whether we need to do an RFP for this, and we'll bring this back to you at the special meeting next week if that works for everybody.
Matt, do you know what company that might be?
DMC does a bill. EMS bill, that's who knows the counties.
Do they do collections too, man? Okay. I think we had somebody that did that. I'm just not 100% sure on that.
Let us do a little bit of research, and we'll bring this back for you next week. I'll have a better handle of this. Thank you.
I was reading, probably be wise to do, says Mr. Hanor is licensed in Tennessee, Virginia, and North Carolina, is pursuing licensing in West Virginia. We probably have customers, clients, whatever in West Virginia who might be on that list. So that would behoove us. Okay. Thank you, Jason. Okay. So do you need any action on that? Just let's wait until you come back.
We'll bring that back for you next week, and we'll ask for movement at that time.
Okay, thank you. All right, Roman numeral 7, C, budget amendments. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, my background's in budget. I make no bones about that. And one of the things that I've done in each of my localities that have been in the past is to do year-end projections. When we do our budget, we just passed budget a couple of weeks ago, where we are making assumptions about revenues that we will receive in for another 13, 14 months. And things change. When I passed the budget in Richmond 2 days before the world shut down for COVID, and then I had to go back and cut $40 million out of that budget. And that's how we do budget amendments. What you have in front of you is a list of high-level revenues and high-level expenditures. And then I have provided you a spreadsheet that lists out all of those. And on that spreadsheet, you can see, again, in the same format as the budget was, you have the 22 actuals, the 23 actuals, what your adopted 24 budget was, what your year-to-date was at the end of May. So that would remain 30 days remaining in the fiscal year, although there are some anomalies to that. What the FY24 projection is from my team and myself, and then what surplus or deficit that would have. What we have tried to do is to take this spreadsheet and distill this down into a little bit of a Word document to be able to walk you through that. I will hit a couple of highlights. The prepared meals, we're projecting almost 264,000, a little over 264,000. This has been increasing at about 10% a year. We know of at least 2 new restaurants that are coming into town right now. So I expect that projection to continue into FY25. You look at the business license, where again, about 80,000 is what we're projecting in surplus on that. And that's because we're, again, increasing at about 5% each year, every year on that. However, there are some where we're falling short. Garbage collections, we're probably going to be about $50,000 short of our budget on that. But we've made changes in leadership within Public Works. We've now isolated and found all of our dumpsters throughout town. We had dumpsters that we were dumping, we were not charging for. And so we have gone back and found those. I now know every location for every dumpster in this town, and we know who is paying for that dumpster. We feel like that and the increase in the fee will make sure that we're good in '25. And through this, I've tried to, in situations where there's a large change, to make sure that you're aware that we have made either adjustments within the FY '25 budget, both on a plus side or a downside, depending on where those are. But again, we are trying to, on the expenditure side, to make sure that everybody is on budget or relatively close. The only particular department at this point in time that is at risk of being over is the Richlands Fire Department. And they've had a couple of unforeseen maintenance issues with their vehicles. We've had some change in leadership there. And there's a couple of other apparatus that we've had to purchase during the year that were unforeseen. Again, 17,000 over on that is the largest overage that we have within any of our departments, short of the non-D. And again, the non-D is related to, if I remember correctly, that is with workman's comp claims. And there's a couple of other things that we had wrongly coded a couple of these, so those have actually been moved back. With all of that being said, what you're looking at is you're looking at having revenues over expenditures in the amount projecting of about $270,000. What I am making a recommendation this evening is to make a budget amendment of about $250,000. Again, I am very conservative when we talk about our finances. I do not ever want to be in a situation where we have expenditures over revenues. We always want revenues to be higher than our expenditures. So we want to leave some on the table for that, and I will own that we have left some on the table when we have done these projections. We're not very aggressive in this projection. We want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for failure. This is a way to be able to close out the year and make sure that we are expending the funds to make sure that they don't fall to the unrestricted fund balance, because at this point in time, your unrestricted fund balance is a healthy 58% of your budget. That's good. We want to increase that. We don't want to increase that overnight. So we want to make sure that we're spending the money that we see that are coming in. And so what we have made the recommendations is that $250,000 be split in 3 different ways. One is an excavator. Our current excavator is, I believe, about 10 years old. It is starting to have larger issues. We're starting to have some major maintenance issues that we're having to do, and we're probably getting to that point where we still have a value in this piece of equipment that we can get out of it. But we don't want to get to a place where every time we're doing a job, I have to spend a week fixing an excavator to be able to go out and do that. So 2 weeks ago, we did shouldering on Kents Ridge Road. We had a grader, we had 2 loaders, we had 2 dump trucks, and we had an excavator. That excavator was rented because the current the loader was rented because our current loader is at a state where it's all but unworkable. And so this is an opportunity here with unforeseen funding coming in that we want to make sure that we are using that to be able to purchase long-term capital. The second area is in the Parks and Rec. This $15,000 will cover the cost of new flooring. There are 2 rooms in the upstairs of the rec park. The smaller room has had floor installed in it. This will install that same floor for the rest of that room there. I will say that is one of the most rented rooms in all of this town. It is very difficult to find an open spot there on a Saturday to be able to do that. It will also seal the basketball courts at Critterville, and it will also put new trash cans throughout everywhere in the park. I am looking at trying to buy between 10 to 12 more trash cans, and then when we get our grant again next year, we're going back and buying some more trash cans. I want to have trash cans everywhere that there are people in this town, and I want them emptied on a regular basis. So that is part of what we're doing with the Parks and Rec. And then the last area is what I am referring to as the Richland Annex at this point. And this is the area over the Public Works station, and this is the area that we cleared out out, and that we're looking to be able to bring a fire station rescue squad over. To date, we have spent about $15,000 on that, and that is mostly just rock. That is getting the foundation set up to be able to do that. We are at a place now where in order to be able to move forward, we have to be able to create space. And we have a very large pole barn that's still sitting in the way, and it's old and it's decrepit and it's barely able to hold the salt spreaders that we put on it. When you hang the salt spreaders on it, it groans, and it's not a good groan. So we want to make sure that we can get ourselves prepped and ready, because we're going to talk about in just a second that we're going to be putting an RFP out for a fire station rescue squad building. In order to be able to be prepared for that rescue squad fire station building, we want to make sure that we get the space ready. And so that's going to require us to be able to move some earth, bring us some additional rocks in, and to be able to bring pole barns in, because we have a new dump truck, we have a new F-550, we have new lawn care equipment that we have purchased, we're getting ready to be able to purchase a new excavator. We want this equipment to be taken care of, both in a physical sense, but in a maintenance sense with the mechanic. We're getting ready to release the mechanic advertisement later this week to be able to have a new mechanic come on staff. What this does, that $143,000, that will allow us to set up the pole barns for the equipment, to be able to take the current pole barn down so we can clear that out. It'll also allow us, hopefully, to be able to pour the concrete pad for the fire station rescue squad building. So with $140,000, that allows us to get everything prepped and ready. And then we will come back to you in about a month and a half, once we get done with the RFP, to be able to walk you through how we're going to pay for that fire station rescue squad building. Questions?
I have a question.
Please.
I noticed when I drove by there one day that there was like some roots and an old mattress and all that sort of scooped up together.
Yes, ma'am. We took care of the mattress that has been gone. What happened was that was where we were having some issues with our friends at the landfill. And we took a bulk and brush truck up, and they told us that the limbs were too big and that they would not accept it. And at that point in time, we had to get the rest of the bulk. So we dumped it over there temporarily to be able to do it. It drove me crazy for about 3 weeks to be able to see that mattress over there. What we are really trying to do is to bring our brush over there to be able to create a burn in between that creek and that space to be able to do it. Long term, I would love to be able to bring our chipper over there and start chipping our brush and be able to sell mulch to our citizens to be able to do that, to be able to collect leaves and be able to chip our mulch, to be able to do that. That's long term. This movement here allows us to be able to do that, but I want to make sure that there is no uncertain terms. I have no plans of having any dumping of any kind over at that space.
Well, some of the residents over there were a little bit concerned too.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if it's, on that bank side, it would flood Brookline on.
Yes.
If you burn that up too high, you're going to push more water in.
Back on, and we're not going that much higher than where we are. We were trying to get just as much. That most of that area is out of the floodplain. The bit that is in the 500-year floodplain, so it's not bad. We just want to make sure as we're pushing it out that we could do it, but we want to make sure that we're aware of that as well. Yes, ma'am.
I got a question.
Please.
So you need an excavator before you need a loader?
Yes, sir.
I'm just thinking about salt and stuff in the winter.
I'm going to come back and talk to you about a loader soon, and that's where we're working. That's the next piece of equipment that has to be. The excavator is one that is used by multiple departments. It's used by 3 different departments, and so that's where we're looking at. That was the reason why it was prioritized before the loader. But the loader's not in good shape.
I have another question. There's a tree in the creek that fell on the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there
Yes,
plans to remove it?
Yes, ma'am. I've just talked with Mr. Shepard today about that. We're gonna, and I'm trying to bring Mr. Compton in. I want to make sure that we can get that out of there as quick as we can.
Do you need us to approve this?
Yes, sir. This will require a vote.
I'll make a motion that we amend I guess we're amending the budget.
The
Yes,
current
sir.
year
The
budget.
current year budget.
Year budget for 2024.
I'll second. Give a motion made by Rick and a second by Jordan to amend the fiscal year 2024 budget based on 2024 budget based on projections. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I just want to say that I've listened to many a budget discussion in here, and it's crazy that you're planning. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's just crazy that you, in a good way, that you are doing this and have the plan going forward, and actually knowing what numbers are in the budget, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But I just want to make this clear. This is not the budget we just passed.
No,
This is money that we've
24.
got left over
It's surplus for
from,
this.
it's surplus money is what we're using now.
I want to be very careful the way I read that too, Rick. Fiscal year '24,
Yes, sir.
not 24, 25.
Yes, sir. So this is for the fiscal end, the year that ends on June 30th. That's the reason.
This month.
Yes, sir. And that's the reason why we're bringing this to you, so that we can be able to get this set up. The other thing that this does is it allows Ronnie and his team to be able to pass this off to the auditors a little bit cleaner. Again, we've worked very diligently over the past 8 months to get 2 audits done and be able to get caught up on our audit. One of the things that Ronnie and I have talked about on several occasions is that we don't want to be late this year on the audit. And in order to be able to do that, things like this get us to a clearer place.
Yes.
Amanda, let the record reflect. This is the '24 budget. Thank you. Okay, please, thank you. Is there any further discussion on this motion to amend the spending of the end of fiscal year 2024 projections?
I'm just happy that it's a surplus and not a deficit.
Yes.
Again,
Same.
we're always going to try to be very conservative in this, and even this, we're being conservative in what we're talking about doing. I fully expect there to be a surplus at the end when we do the audit, but again, we don't want to. I don't want to take a good situation and turn it into a bad situation.
Well, this is a promising thing, and it makes you sleep better at night.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or comment? There being none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Seth?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Laura?
Yes.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you, council. All right, next we're on Roman numeral 7, D, contract for federal grants.
So the other item that I've placed in front of you is a response to our RFP from Merchant McIntyre Associates. What we did is we put an RFP out. My team and I have been sitting through the Appalachian Region Commission's Ready Local Governments program. We're going to receive a $50,000 grant, or we're eligible to receive a $50,000 grant upon completion of that program. One of the things that program has highlighted to us, and something I knew a little bit about before I came to the town, is that right now there are an unreasonable amount of grants that are coming from the federal government between off-system bridge work and the DOT funding that they're getting, FEMA funding. There is an awful lot of federal and state funding between ARPA, IIJA, and IRA, between the American Rescue Plan Act, the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. There is an awful lot of federal funding that is being spent right now that we are eligible for. We are a Justice 40 community. That means that we have the numbers, our poverty level and our unemployment rate are at a level, and historically we have been underserved. And so we qualify for that, means that we are in a special category to be able to go after these grants. What we are looking at, what you have in front of you, is a proposal to be able to provide grant writing and grant searching services for the town for a 12-month period. This is the same company that is working with the county. So we've reached out to the county, gotten references from them. They do good work. We're actually working with a grant that this company brought for the county to help with the flooding over at Richlands Elementary School. So again, it's $1 million that they brought into the county to be able to do this. This is where a $60,000 investment can turn into $2-3 million grants while we go through the year. So what you have in front of you is the proposal. The staff recommendation is to be able to accept that proposal and approve the RFP to be able to be provided to Merchant McIntyre and Associates, and we'll get that taken care of. More than happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So you need a motion for that.
Yes, sir, I do.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, Rick makes the motion and Jordan makes a second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
I just have one question. Will they help you on existing grants you're working on? Perfect. Well worth it. Okay.
Is there any further discussion or question? Thank you. Any other discussion on this?
They work with the county, and I've been neck deep in county budget stuff, just paying attention to the county and our tax dollars there. And the one thing that the county cut everything but was Merchant McIntyre, because I sat in a meeting when they were in there with them, and they really were super proactive in bringing grant money to the county. And they talk about it in here about having a good relationship with our state delegates and representation, and they were getting, I think I even shot a message to Jason one day, and I said the county just got like $700,000 because they were working with this person, and we're just kind of out to dry. So I think it's a great idea. I think we can't afford not to do it.
So thank you, Laura. Any other comments, questions? There's a motion on the floor and a second. Motion made by Rick, second by Jordan. Any further discussion? There being no discussion, Amanda, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Okay, Seth?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
And Laura?
Yes.
The motion is unanimous. Thank you, council. So we can move forward. Okay, next we have Roman numeral 7E, Fire Station RFP.
Thank you, Mayor. With the passage of the budget on the 28th, included in the budget is the push to be able to bring a new fire station rescue squad building to the town. We have done some informal searching to be able to get an understanding of what we think informal bids would be on this project. And we now are at a place where we would like to be able to move to a formal process. What this does is we're looking at a 7-bay station. There'll be 4 bays for the fire, 3 bays for rescue squad, a joint office location with a training area. And then what we're looking at doing is making this as 16 or 24, forgive me, I don't know the exact feet. But we want to be able to create a second story in our office space. That will become our living quarters. This is where we can use the fire station and their mantra to be able to get away from ADA rules. So we can put a second floor loft in with living quarters, because fire personnel are required to be able to meet a physical standard. So they have to be able to climb upstairs. They have to be able to do that in order to be able to be firemen. And so that's the loophole that we're going to use to be able to bring lodging into this, so that, again, we can become a municipal fire department as opposed to a volunteer fire department. That opens up grants that we can work with Merchant McIntyre and Associates to be able to bring into the town to be able to do this. This is the RFP. We want to get to a place where we have an understanding or a firm grasp of what that cost is going to be for that building, and to be able to put that in place. We look to be able to do a 30-day RFP on this. We look to bring this back to you in the August meeting for submission and for the financial planning to back this up. But we wanted to make you aware, this is a RFP that's going to go live, and so I wanted to make sure you're aware of it and answer any questions before we put that on the website and put it on EVA.
I just have a question.
Please.
It's about aesthetics. Do we have any idea, a concept of what the exterior would look like?
So this will be a steel building, and so what we will do is, to begin, we're going to create a steel building. We'll look to be able to, it'll probably be red because it's a fire station, and we'll look to brick it up halfway at a later date to be able to bring that in. We want to make sure that we're doing this as cost effective as we possibly can. And a steel building, our informal investigation is looking at between $250,000 and $275,000 to be able to build a 150 by 80 foot steel building with a roof, and then to be able to put the garage doors in that. We would be able to do the concrete work to be able to save money on our own. We're actually having internal meetings now to start timeline development and to be able to gain an understanding of roles and responsibilities. We look to be able to have an outside company construct the building, but separate of that, most of that rest of the work will be done in-house, including trying to cannibalize as much as I possibly can from that current station to get it over to the new station.
I appreciate that, Jason. And the reason I ask, I'm absolutely for this. We've needed it for a long, long
Yes, sir.
time. Aesthetics matter.
Yes, sir, they do.
And when people come to Richlands, we want them to see more brick and mortar
Yes, sir.
and less metal.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't make the money grow.
Yes, sir.
But that's my opinion, and I'll share it as in the fact that you noticed we needed to clean up what you're calling the annex. And I think everything we can do to upgrade our town and the look of it and the aesthetics attracts people to want to be here. Thank you. Okay, do you need any action on this?
No, sir. This was
You're just going to bring the RFP back? Okay,
I'm more than happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
thank you.
I have just a couple questions, and I apologize, I would have asked you before, but we had a busy week last week, and I had a very, very busy day today. Just two things on the fire. On the front page, where it says, based on your previous work experience, your firm has been selected to receive this RFP and invited to submit a proposal. Are we sending this to specific people, or is that just a generic kind of?
That's just a generic,
Okay.
that's just a generic program.
And on the next page, just a date thing, it says start of project is 7/1, and
That's a typo. We're actually meeting with the EVA folks on Friday to go through this document. and
Oh,
the
okay.
preparations to be able to have it posted on their website.
perfect. That's all I got on that one.
Okay. Any other questions on this one? Okay, well, we shall move on to Roman numeral 7F, the swimming pool design RFP. And we have the staff summary with us. Thank you.
So again, same situation. Budget's passed, and included in the budget is a $40,000 allotment to be able to do design and engineering services for the pool. What we'd like to be able to do is to be able to bring a consultant on to be able to talk through what is and is not possible. Where can we value engineer this project? Where do we want to spend more money? What are other communities doing? Again, we're having internal meetings right now, started around this, and one of the first things I've asked team to do is to go to council and go to the pirate ship splash pad that they have and talk to them. Go to, I believe forgive me, I'm blanking on a couple of the other towns, but there's a few towns in this area that have put pools up, that have put splash pads up. We want to learn from what they've done. We're doing the same thing on the fire station. I just forgot to mention it. We're reaching out to fire chiefs who've built stations in the past 3 or 4 years. What did you learn? What would you do now differently having done this, so that we can learn from their process? We're doing that on the splash pad as well. So this allows us to be able to bring a consultant on to be able to help get the design process for this. Again, this is a little bit more time sensitive, so we probably will be seeing this back before you in July to be able to get this moving, because we want to be in a place where start of September, we have a game plan and we're ready to be able to move forward on this. Yeah, more than happy to answer any other questions.
Is the goal, the broad goal, to be able to have this all open for next summer?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm thinking. I thought that's what you'd said, and
Yes,
I
sir.
think that's ambitious but absolutely achievable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we hope so. Any thoughts from council or anything they'd like to share?
Kind of the same deal on this one, just a typo kind of thing. It says June 31st.
Yes, ma'am. These were done several weeks ago in anticipation of passage, and then I wanted to make sure that we brought this in front of you to make sure that you're aware of it. And so we'll make sure that we get those updated before we get that posted on the website and on EVA.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was July or June 30th.
No, that's, we're
Were you thinking
we're
of
trying to
30
catch up.
days has September, April, June, and November?
I was, actually.
I know. I'm reading you, Laura. It's good. All right, any other questions here, council? All right, so we are ready to move forward. Roman numeral 7, we have added item G, the Greenville Drive discussion and vote. I would ask for, Jason, can you say what is the planning commission's recommendation?
So the Planning Commission is recommending approval of this conditional use permit, and that's based upon the conditions. One of the things that the Planning Commission wanted to convey is that we want to get back to a point in time where the conditional use permits are based upon the conditions. And in this circumstance, the conditions warrant providing the conditional use permit. If this was for somebody that was from out of town coming in, if it was for somebody that lived on the other side of town and owned and was trying to rent this, those circumstances would be different. In this particular circumstance, this is a gentleman that lives right next door. We are trying to take a citizen from being a renter to being an owner. And so in those situations, we want to be able to provide that opportunity on that conditions. The other thing that we wanted to make sure that the council was aware is that we are now following up on these conditional use permits. So we are on a monthly basis having members of my team go out to the sites to be able to see, have they underpinned them? Have they met the conditions that were laid out? There are a few times where we've asked them to put driveways in or to be able to extend electricity poles or to be able to do other things. What we want to do is follow up on that, because when I got here, we weren't. And so there were conditional use permits that were provided 2 years ago that had not been followed up on. And so we want to make sure that we're following up on this. The biggest thing that I think the Planning Commission would like to convey to the council is that we want to get to a place where the conditional use permits are based on the context. And we want to limit them. Again, we want to get to a place where, one of the limits that I think the Planning Commission is looking at is no single wide mobile homes on our corridors into town. We're trying to pivot towards a more tourist-based economy. When we have tourists come into town, we don't want the first thing for them to see is to see somebody's home as they're coming in, a single wide mobile home. That's not a very good first look for the town. So we want to make sure that we're
Does
able
that have to do with perception and aesthetics?
aesthetics, yes,
Just
sir.
saying.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
So I'm more than happy to answer any other questions, but again, Mr. White, you're exactly right. We want to make sure that we are basing it upon the conditions of that situation. And if somebody comes into the lot that's next to Mr. Cordell's and they're trying to do something or other like that on an acre lot, I'm probably going to be a little bit more restrictive. In this particular circumstance, Mr. Cordell has been very, very proactive with us. He's come and talked to us on several occasions. He's come and let us know what he's planning on doing to be able to see would that meet with what the requirements are. So in this particular situation, based upon the conditions, the Planning Commission is recommending approval for the conditional permit.
Okay, so the recommendation is to approve this conditional use. That is the recommendation of the commission. And I want to add that I'm very pleased that we are following up with these conditions. Sometimes, in past years, that we have given conditional use, but we don't know what the conditions are. And I think we must follow up, and I want to say thank you for that. If they are not following up, I'm sure you have something in mind to help that happen.
Yes, sir. We will be bringing those back to you. So far, we've not had any issues with that.
Yeah,
We've had a couple
just
of
saying.
conversations just to follow up with some folks to let them know, we need this to happen and to be able to happen in a timely manner. That's the bigger thing. It's just following up, making sure that these are followed through.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Is there any discussion, is there a motion
I'll
to
make that
accept
motion.
the recommendations of the Planning Commission? Rick makes the motion to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation for a conditional use permit, and it is seconded by Jordan Bales. Now, there's a motion, a second on the floor. Is there any discussion at this time?
Is this gonna allow for, when this one is moved, for the property owner where it is now to bring another one in right there?
Yes, but again, he would have to come back and ask for the conditional use permit, and we would be based upon those conditions at that point in time.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other discussion, members of council? There hearing no discussion, I will ask a roll call vote, please, Amanda.
Okay, Seth,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
And Laura.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Thank you, council, and congratulations, Mr. Cordell.
Where can I pick up the necessary bill?
You will be talking with Mr.
You
May.
can follow up with us in the morning, sir. We'll be more than happy to meet.
And I just want to say thank you for being such an amenable person about it. You were telling us your plans before the meeting, during the meeting, and properly. Thank you very much.
Now you won't be paying,
You
now
are
you won't be
welcome.
paying rent, you'll be paying taxes.
Now, how long have you lived in Richlands? I bet you've paid a few taxes. Thank you.
I even pay food tax.
Thank you very much.
Started on that 3 years.
We appreciate you.
But anyway, appreciate it.
We appreciate you too. Thank you, sir. Okay, now we're moving on to Roman numeral 8, the monthly financial report. So let's get our
right.
work here. Ronnie Campbell,
Yes.
it's your territory, my friend.
Yeah, I'm the actual guy. Jason's the budget guy.
I couldn't hear that. Say what?
I'm the actual guy. Jason's the budget guy.
Oh, okay. I got you. Thank
All
you.
right, so I'm going to walk you through, these results are through the end of April. If you were to try to tie them to Jason's numbers, these were the foundation for Jason to run his projections through the end of the fiscal year. So anyway, this was based on a hard close, and then we've got projections in his for a couple months of revenue and expenses still to come through. If you look at the general fund, the year-to-date net income variance, and I've also added a few more, I've added dollars this time on the variance side, so you've got percentages in dollars, so hopefully that helps some of you people that like to see the dollar variances. On the year-to-date net income variance for general fund, you have a net help on the expense side, and this will tie into what he was saying on the expenses where we've had some savings. We have lower expenses in finance, IT, community development, police, rescue, street, sanitation, and this was offset by just slightly higher expenses in some capital purchases. That's about a $1.4 million variance at the end of April to the good. Revenues, we're lowering bank stock taxes, consumer consumption utility tax, personal property taxes, other revenues, and garbage collections. That's a hurt. That's about 78% of budget, or about $1.8 million at that point in time. And if you look at the whether the drivers are permanent or timing on the bank stock taxes and other revenues, that's timing. We still expect to collect a few more months of those revenue streams. Personal property taxes, consumer consumption utility tax, and garbage collections. I think Jason already mentioned that, and some other equipment that we paid off with some grants throughout the year. For the water fund, I think this is a trend we've been seeing for most of the year. The year-to-date net income variance, primary results from lower revenues. It's a hurt. That's only about 70% of the budget. That's worth about $490,000. That was offset by lower expenses, help, about 84.8% of budget, or $189,000. I would attribute both revenues and expenses as a permanent difference that we have layered into his projections. Similar story on the sewer. We have lower revenues, hurt 71.4%, or $501,000, offset by lower expenses, help of 81.5% of budget, or $233,000. Both, once again, permanent differences that we are using. On the water sewer line maintenance, once again, we've talked to there's no revenue stream there, so we're just focusing on expenses. Expenses are a help year-to-date. We're only at 68.5%, which is $150,000 lower than budget through April. I think for this category, we still attribute most of that to timing, with everything, all the infrastructure being in the ground, and just not knowing what's out there. On the electric fund, year-to-date net loss variance, primary results from lower revenues, hurt. That's about $1.6 million under budget on revenues, which is offset by lower expenses, help of about $1.2 million, or 83.1%. Permanent or timing, revenues are permanent, expenses are permanent at this time, and the capital purchase is permanent as well. And that was most of that was the chipper. Any questions on the summary income statement?
Hey, Ronnie,
Yes.
on the bank stock taxes, are those all due like the end of June or
Yeah,
something?
they'll be coming in starting in May, so that's timing.
Can you explain just for my own personal interest, how does that work? What is that tax based on?
It's like a franchise tax, is my understanding. It's tied into, I guess, activities and what have you with those businesses.
So we're pretty accurate on the numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this has grown because there's a lot of, because banks are doing well, the interest rates have gone up. So this is one of the things that the current economy is pushing. You know, the banks are charging higher interest rates, and so that's showing up in bank stock taxes.
Okay.
And one other factor, there's no shortage of banks in Richlands.
Banks,
If you have
gas
money,
stations. we
there's a
got-
place to put it. Thank you.
All right, so that was the summary income statement. Anybody else have any questions on that? All right. This is the detailed income statement. It's my source for the summary income statement. I usually, if you have, let you guys go back through it, at your time, free time, or, and then come back with questions. If there's anything in particular you may have already took notice of that you want me to research now, you can let me know as well.
Just for your awareness, Seth, when you look at Ronnie's closeout is the end of April. On the sheet that I provided you is the year-to-date. It's not a closeout, but it was just where we are in the general ledger as of the 31st of May. And if you look at the bank stock taxes, by the end of May, we've received 193,654. So again, it's just timing, it's the accrual process.
So is this on the delinquent property taxes?
Are you talking about the personal property taxes? Perhaps, is that what I was,
It is personal property.
So that's personal property?
Yeah,
that's
which-
delinquent.
Yes.
we don't have that revenue stream any longer, so that's,
Okay, let me ask you something else.
okay.
On the delinquent taxes for real estate, is that up at the top of the page up here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And that's where council has provided, I believe, 3 months ago, staff the ability to move forward with the TACS group. They're getting ready to go live. So we should be seeing, that number probably won't grow this year, but I expect in FY '25 to start receiving payments for the back years for those taxes.
Okay. That's not bad, though.
No.
What's on this is not really that bad. I would thought the number was way higher than that.
That's what they're budgeting. That's not what we're owed.
No, we're definitely owed way more than
We're
that.
owed over 100,000. They
Oh,
just haven't
okay.
been collecting. This is just what they're hoping to collect off of
Okay, I understand.
before they got here. It was
This is just a projection number
yeah. It
that
was,
y'all are hoping to get in,
Yes.
not what we're owed. Okay.
This is a
That's what I was
fingers
gonna
crossed
And
number.
Actually,
Yeah.
on this particular document that you have that Ronnie is walking you through, this is the actual. So this isn't what we believe is this is what is actually in our coffers right now.
Okay.
So on the,
Through April.
through April, yes, sir. So for the delinquent taxes for the year, we brought in $15,338.32. That's 4,000 and some change, 4,500 and some change short of it. Again, that's what we brought in for the year, to Ms. Mahler's point, that's based upon the thought and should be based upon what past actuals were. That's what we're basing it off of going into the future.
my last check was well over 150 to 180.
We need to collect that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. There's taxes back 20 years.
We're going back the full 20 years, so they're moving forward with that right now.
All right, moving on to the bank balances. General fund has an unreserved cash balance of about $4.3 million at the end of April. That's a $180,000 decrease from March. As far as the projected, we're still right around 2.1 million following the current policies, and also looking at we look at a rolling 12-month low, at least in this particular analysis. That's how we've been viewing it. On the next page is the water department. Not a whole lot of movement here. It's 1.2 million unreserved cash balance, $9,000 increase from March. And on the projected side, it was a $10,000 decrease. Actually, both of them were decreases from March. On the sewer department, similar story as the water, still just barely breaking out of that negative shortfall. And we only had a $21,000 increase in the no change in March in the projected. And then the last balance is the electric fund. We're at 2.7 million on the unreserved cash balance. That was a $480,000 decrease. And then on the projected side, still sitting at around 154,000, so no change from the previous month on that as well. Any questions on the reserves?
Do we know why it decreased 480?
Yeah, a lot of this on the electric, I went back the last 2 or 3 months, it was about 140,000 last month, and then when you get back into the shoulder, the non-shoulder months, we were getting in more revenues, the balance was increasing. Now we're coming back into the shoulder months where we're not billing as much and running as much.
I follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Any questions, members of council? Ronnie, thank you for having this so clear. Appreciate it. Any questions, members of council? Okay.
It really is great. I love it.
Okay. Now, we're on to Roman numeral 9.
I had one more thing. I'm sorry, Ron.
Go ahead.
We've been talking about this for several months. I'm trying to let you guys get through your budgeting process, but are we putting a plan together for our investments?
Yes, sir. We met this past, we met the week before I went on vacation to go through the bank accounts.
Okay.
We are in the process. We're going to finish out this fiscal year, close it out so it doesn't mess up the auditors.
Okay.
Once we're done with that, we'll be closing some accounts, moving accounts into the right place, and we're coming back with an RFP for investment services, hopefully in August, if not July. It just depends on the timing of that.
Okay.
But we're aware, we're moving forward with this, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. Roman numeral 9, attorney report. Mike?
I don't think I have anything additional today.
Okay. Roman numeral 10, town manager report. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. This Saturday is the rain date for the first movie over at the Greenway Park. It's Toy Story. That'll be this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. This Friday, I believe it's in your packet, there is a mural rededication for Miss Ellen's art over at the Past That Makes the Future Better. That's going to begin at 11 o'clock on Friday, and staff is going to make sure that we have everything set up and ready for that rededication. Wanted to, I think we've got the information out last week, but the town, we did get one of the good big checks. It's always nice to get big checks. But we received $8,720 from the Cumberland Forest Community Fund. This is a joint venture between Nature Vest and the Nature Conservancy. This will go towards Critterville, towards the playground. Our game plan, give me a minute, I'm not speaking with my mind. Back over here. Our game plan is a 4-week timeline. We're going to use internal staff to sand every wood surface that I can find in that playground. And then come back and stain and polyurethane, fix any of the equipment that is not in working order right now as much as we possibly can, and then come back in with the pre-engineered wood pellet mulch that was put in there the last time. We believe that we have the funding between the 8,000 to be able to do that. And the beauty of this is that with the permission that council provided us to be able to move forward with the mowing crew, we're looking at doing this probably in late September, early October. And we plan on using our mowing crew. By then, they'll be done mowing, and so I can be able to use them for a couple more weeks to be able to do that. That provides our in-kind match to this and be able to do that. That allows us to be able to do this for less cost and be able to update this community facility. Wastewater upgrade, we have moved forward. We had 7 companies that were pre-bid. We received bids on the water treatment project today. The wastewater treatment, I believe, is at the end of the month when we'll receive bids for that. So we are moving forward with that. I expect to hopefully have some bid information in front of you in the July meeting. So we're moving forward on that. More than happy to answer any other questions. Oriole Street Bridge, we still expect probably a late July, early August installation date on that. If you go out there, they have done some strings. They're setting some things up and getting everything in order. I think that's everything that I had on my plate. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Jason, I just want to comment about the grant that we got. Jason asked me, excuse me, to go to St. Paul to accept it, but since he was not here, and I was honored to do that. And when I walked in the room, there are people that I've recognized, and many of you would too. Randy Rose, who is a chancellor at the University of Virginia's College at Wise, got his start at the Historic Crab Orchard Museum. He came right to me, and he's been here and been involved with us in many things. Nick Proctor, who remembered me from my work with Curvy, and he called and said, "Rod, there's an opportunity." I gave it to Jason. Jason ran with it. Thank you. Brad Krebs, another person in the Nature Conservancy world, and they're very interested in working with us, particularly on plans that have been dormant for a while, and that would be our pedestrian river walk, because they are aware that, they actually talked to me about it, that it was the Center for Design Assistance at Virginia Tech that gave us an $18,000 grant, and all that was required to match it were meetings, as we did that with no out-of-pocket money. And they're very excited about these things, and we are too. So they had complimentary things to say about the town and our advancements and our council. The news spreads far and wide, and I was just so honored to be there on behalf of this council and this town. Thank you.
That's everything for me.
Can I bring up a dirty word?
Yes.
Paving.
We met, I'm just going to leave mine on, I think, at some point. We met with W&L today. So they are supposed to be here before the end of the week to begin mobilizing. We hope to have them here in the next few days. We hope to have paving starting next week. Just a little bit of context for you. When these large companies, their primary client is VDOT. And so unfortunately, they got caught down in a small area in Southwest Virginia where they weren't able to get the actual paving machine in. And so they had to literally walk the paving machine in about 5 miles. Then when they got the paving machine in there, VDOT found more money and said, "We would like for you to pave more." And so in order for them to be able to do that and do that efficiently, it meant delaying our paving project. And so that's how we've gotten delayed. I know that does not make it any easier to be able to drive down Kents Ridge Road. I drive it every day. I will tell you that this is something we are adamantly have been working very diligently with W&L on, and we believe that this week they will be here, and we look to have paving hopefully here in the next few days.
We keep getting questions. It's the reason that I asked.
Yes, ma'am. I get those same questions, probably not as many as you do, but I know that's something or other that we have been talking about for a while. We want to make sure we're doing it correctly when we do it. So that's where we're at with it. Is we've actually talked to the guys that actually pave the road, and they are planning on, they're finishing up the job, I believe, today, and they are starting to mobilize. So we have a roller and a couple other pieces of machinery will start showing up over on Kents Ridge Road here shortly.
I had a question today about what are we doing on Veterans Drive, scraping the sides? Is it going to be paved or?
No, ma'am, that's just to shoulder the road. What that does is it allows the water to be able to filter off the road a little bit better, and it keeps those roads in better condition for longer. We're trying to be able to maintain roads, so I don't have to come back and be able to do it. We don't want to do that road. The Veterans Bridge is on VDOT's replacement cycle. It is set for design in 26 and construction to start in 28. Once they're done with that, we'll finish. We're going to bring the paving, at this point in time, we're trying to get it past, a little bit past Farmers, where the turnoff is there. And so that way, once that bridge has been replaced, we will get VDOT to be able to just run and be able to do that last little bit of paving along with the bridge replacement. That's my goal, is to try to get them to do that. But that's where we want to come back to do it. So this will be hopefully from right about where Farmers entrance is right there, all the way to the town limits, and then on Virginia Avenue for the entire span of the road.
Thank you, Jan. Any other questions for Jason before we move on to council member reports? Okay.
Well, I do have one more I was
Yes.
going to do. The bridge closure, we've had a lot of questions on that, and I'm sure you have. I've referred them to you.
So we're tentatively looking at a start date for construction in November of this year. So there's still about 5-6 months left before they'll get started on that process. We will make sure that we're now that we have approval, we're going to start to be able to market out the detour and be able to get that information out. Should be starting that hopefully next month in July, to be able to start providing the marketing materials to be able to get that information out. And then we'll start to work with our area businesses in that area to make sure that we can try to work with them the best we can to make sure that this is as painless as possible, as we possibly can make it.
Any other questions? Members of council? Okay. We will move forward. Council member reports. This is Roman number 11. Laura?
I do have a couple things tonight. And again, I usually get these to you before the meeting, but today I had zero free time. I was actually going to bring up the back taxes as well, but we already talked about that. But kind of expanding on that, I would like council to consider that maybe we have some sort of rule or ordinance or resolution, whatever this is going to look like, of people on our committees and authorities should not owe taxes to this town. We do have and have had quite a few, and I just don't think it's fair or a good look. Another thing, signs on town property. We've kind of become the sign graveyard again. I'm about to call the pool guy. I've never seen these red signs around town. I just saw in the past couple days. Go to the bottom of Hidden Valley Hill. The pool guy has like 3 signs down right there. I mean,
What are they, I haven't been over there. Is it to advertise for putting in pools?
Yeah, and it's not just at the bottom of Hidden Valley. The pool signs are everywhere in town. It's just popped up the past couple days. I'm about to get out of my car and start picking them up myself because I've never seen anything like that. Like, he really wants to put in a pool, or she, I don't know. And I'm not talking about people putting up yard sale signs and taking them down the next day. I'm talking like, you live in EC at Hidden Valley. Look at the bottom of that hill, but it is starting to get pretty bad kind of everywhere. Just wanted to bring up Henderson Street. I've already brought that to your attention, but I know the lady was upset, and I just want to reiterate that was brought to your attention already. Also wanted to thank Chief Holt for standing in last week. Things went as smoothly as could be. He did a great job, and it just kind of goes to show how he runs the police department. He's just super efficient and a great leader there. As we were sitting here, and I'm actually going to send this to you right now. This is not funny, but as we were sitting here, a citizen just sent me a text. I just sent it to you, and he said there is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but the road is starting to cave in on First Street by the water plant. Like, it's not a pothole, it's like a sinkhole. And he said that his little, I think he said his grandson just about put his foot in it just now. And that does look pretty hole-ish. Like, it does not look, I mean, you can see it. If we could send somebody over.
We'll have it patched first thing in the morning.
Thank you very much. And the last thing, Freedom Festival. I'm sure Jan's going to talk about it too. Jan is a machine when it comes to the festivals. I've always said that she is the festival queen, and it is the truth, honestly. I know she's trying hard to teach me how to do this, and I'm really good at putting my hand to the plow and doing the work, but man, Jan, she's got the connections, the people just absolutely love working with her. Freedom Festival is going to be the 29th, starts at noon, and is going to go until the fireworks, which are about 10 o'clock. We've got around 50 vendors, probably, 6 food vendors. We've got Noah Spencer playing, Victor Lawson will be playing, and an act out of Nashville, Travis Ray, will be playing, so there's really good music. There's going to be activities for kids, bounce houses, some kind of little carnival-ish rides, and face painting, popcorn. I mean, it's going to be a really big day. Advance Auto and the Street Kings Auto Club are hosting the cruise-in at Advance Auto parking lot. Starts at noon, and I think judging, you have to have your car there by 2 for judging, and then judging will be 2:30, 3 o'clock. So it's going to be huge day, and hope everyone will join us for Freedom Festival, and want to thank Jan for all of her work. And there's more unsung heroes sitting up here that I know don't want to be pointed out or recognized, but this council has more people willing to give and sacrifice to the Freedom Festival than people realize, and who tell me all the time, don't point us out for us. But I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Laura. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Jan?
I just want to add a couple of things. Like Laura said, we're hoping for a really good turnout, but, depending on the weather, you never know what it's going to be like. But I want to thank Southwest for loaning us the chairs. I did make that contact, and they are going to loan us the chairs for the concerts that evening. And like Laura said, we've got probably 50-plus vendors, and we have a lot of activities. So anybody in town that wants to showcase their business is welcome to come over, and we'll help you promote it. But we're having the health fair that morning. Mike Carter from, I can't remember the name of his home health organization, but he always sets that health fair up for us. So, and that a lot of seniors attend that. And I know we talked about blocking that road, but we might have to wait and do it after that health fair, because they do come, they enjoy coming, they give a lot of things away, do blood pressure checks, and just various things. So we appreciate them for coming too. And I guess that's about it till we get the rest of it put together.
Jan, I'm so excited. I will say, we have some of the best fireworks in our town. You've secured all that, right? I don't know what company it is, but if it's the same one, we've been doing great. It's exciting, very exciting. Thank you. Okay, if you think of anything else, just say, hey, it's a big event, and we're proud of it. This is the kind of thing that makes Richlands smile, and everyone can enjoy it. It doesn't cost you any money to get there. You can spend money if you want to, but you don't have to. This is for everybody. Thank you.
Jan puts on an incredible festival. Even before I was on the council, even before I said the first word to Jan, I always said that a neighboring town might have the lock on fall, but summer belongs to Richlands, and it's because of Jan.
Well, it does. I'll say it does because when this was first happening, I think I attended a meeting or two, and then and the section house wasn't even, it was still in the rough, and we had a history corner over there, and we had the mural laid out, and I won't forget it because it was exciting, on horses, sawhorses, so you could see what it was going to be, and we had lots of commitments to buy bricks at that time, so it is a cohesive thing, and to that end, I'll say this now. Last year, we were open for the event to be complimentary, and on the corner of the land, of course, close to the railroad tracks, we'll have chairs as best we can, or people can bring a chair, and the bulk of the people will be over at the Freedom Festival. But if anybody has claustrophobia, they can come sit on the section house property and see it. It's quite magnificent. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Jordan.
Sure. So, wanted to give a big shout out to the town of Richlands for letting Project Grad use the rec park and assisting with parking. It was amazing. We only had 5 cars in the field. We almost didn't have to use the field. So the parking issue, I'm hoping, knock on wood, is solved over there. But it was game changing, be able to use that facility and have the crew over there just helping us park. Everybody had a great time. So thank you so much. That being said, I no longer have any say in Project Grad. I was wanting to see if we can go ahead and get out of this. Next year, they're going to have banners. If we could work together with the 5 other entities involved, we have the county, we have Cedar Bluff, we have Raven, we have the school system, and Project Grad itself to help fund these banners. I mean, you're talking a drop in the bucket. And I know we have the funding process and everything, but this entity changes hands every single year. And that hits right at the time near graduation. They're not going to, I doubt they're going to come in here and have that capacity to keep doing it.
You speaking of the banners, the individual students?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is a big undertaking. It was paid for in the past by other people, by a donor. We were able to step up. We were very lucky. The community stepped up and helped us pay for them this year. But I would like to avoid that going forward, if we can help even a little bit. That being said, I've had several, I wouldn't say complaints, but just inquiries. What is their plan for some of these abandoned properties in town? I know we're fining from grass, but some of them literally have, or did have, grass up to your chest. What's the end game here? Oh, goodness.
Just trying to think about the right way to answer this.
Okay. I'm good. I didn't know an answer, so I'm glad I waited.
It's been a long couple of days. Right now, what we're doing with those abandoned properties is working through the delinquent tax process.
Okay.
That's going to be the cleanest way to be able to deal with those properties.
Okay.
I've looked into a couple of them. There was one that the owner of the home I get them mixed up. There's an owner of the home and then there's an owner of the land. One of them is in jail and one of them is no longer with us. And so trying to figure out how to be able to deal with that, especially when you've got multiple inheritance, when you've got a property that's been left to 12 individuals, family members. The delinquent tax process is the best way to be able to go about that. I know that that has been it's been a couple of months since we've done it. We've been having internal meetings with TACS. They are getting ready to go live. Because we needed to get the information because we expect to have a high call volume.
Yeah.
Because once those letters start going out, we fully expect people to start calling and wondering why they're getting a letter from basically a tax collector to be able to go through that. So that's where we're at with that process. On individual cases, we can probably look at code violations. I know of one property that was over off of near where Farmer and the Kents that the grass got a little higher than probably it should have. Outside of that, I haven't seen that many, and I'm trying to drive around on a regular basis.
They got knocked down recently.
Yeah, as I say, I think we're doing better with the mowing and the code enforcement around that. But my hesitation is when you go through the code enforcement process of it, it becomes a little bit more subjective. The delinquent tax is objective. You either do or you don't owe taxes, and if you do owe them and you don't pay them, and you go through that process, eventually your property is sold and the town collects its proceeds from that.
Okay,
That's the cleanest way of being able to deal with
Yes.
those.
I can attest to that slightly. I attended a conference yesterday in Abingdon, the small town conference, and there were so many speakers. They were all excellent, so many topics, but that was a topic, and that's what they concurred was the cleanest way to do it. It's just dollars and cents. So I will add to that. Go ahead.
Also, I just have one more thing. So I have one complaint. I have been receiving numerous complaints over the past couple of months, or last month, in regards to parking on Grayson. There's a lot more volume over there. I don't have a good solution. I don't know what to tell people, so I'm going to hand that off to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We've gotten a couple of, I don't want to call complaints, but we've got a
Yeah.
couple of inquiries around that. With the new business that's
Yeah.
opened up on that street, as we mentioned earlier, we're trying to work through at the end of the year, part of our spin down plan for Public Works is to buy signs. And be
Okay.
able to do those. This is one where it's a.
It's a fickle situation. I don't want to hurt, yeah,
Because you don't want to hurt the business, but you
Not at
also
all.
want to be aware of how
Yeah.
the residents in that area. I will tell you, in some instances, where you're allowed to be able to put no parking but for residents only, that may be a
Yeah.
possible way of being able to do that and be able to have some area to be able to. We have a meeting scheduled for next week to be able to sit down and discuss that and
Okay.
a couple of other areas that we're trying to work with.
awesome. That's the best I can do is pass it on. Yeah.
We will definitely be back with some next.
I have one more thing. I forgot to
Go ahead.
mention, we're having a free swim day at the rec park, the day of the festival. And we've talked to Anthony about that, so we'll get more sorry, frogs in my throat tonight. We'll get more info on that as we move along, but we are having a free swim day.
That's good. That's another thing that people can do that isn't, regardless of their ability to pay or not, that's a day they can participate. That's a good thing. Okay.
Mayor
Any-
Curry, I
Yes.
just want to point, I'm a frequent visitor to that said business on Grayson, and I don't know if maybe, and Matt, something else to, I've never mentioned it to you guys or Chief Holt, but it's not funny, but I was there the other day and there was no parking, right? And people were blocking driveways. And then one lady in a big SUV came and literally parked on the sidewalk. I've got a picture of it because I thought it was that, she literally parked her SUV on the sidewalk and then, got out. And I think maybe that might help appease to the residents there. If maybe you guys can, I don't know. I don't want to tell you how to police, but swing by there and, yeah, if somebody's on the sidewalk. I don't know the laws, but I don't think that's legal. But
One of the things this highlights, and I'm actually having a meeting tomorrow with the folks down at the Cumberland Plateau Planning District. We need to do I believe that we need to do a small area plan for our downtown. We have a couple of different establishments that probably are not in the best location. We've put restaurants, we have a bar that's in the middle of a residential section downtown. We have this establishment that's doing very well, and that's great, but also doesn't have the parking that's necessary to be able to do it. That's one of the things that I would like to be able to talk to Cumberland about tomorrow, is to be able to do a small area plan. Where do we want restaurants? We want more restaurants in downtown, but where do we want them? We want them to have parking. We want them not to be near residents as much as we possibly can. And then what type of businesses do we want near the residential sections downtown? That's part of what we want to do.
You're talking my language. Keep going.
Please. And that's where we just want to make sure that we have a plan, because that way, as we're going through this, we can work with property owners, with other folks within the downtown area. We're also getting ready to start a merchants association. we want to plan these things. And it's great that we have a business that's operating downtown, and I want to support them to the nth degree. But at the same point in time, I want to make sure that we're cognizant that residents live in that exact same street, literally a stone's throw from the front door of that restaurant, and be able to recognize that that's infringing upon their abilities as well. So that's one of the things, just I wanted to throw that out there. I'm going to go down and meet with them tomorrow. I'm trying to get some funding to be able to come back and do a small area plan. That way we can talk about where we want restaurants. If we're able to turn and make the pivot towards a more tourism-based economy, that means that we're going to have more restaurants. We need to have some discussions as a council to be able to understand where we would like to be able to put this. We can't tell anybody what they can and can't do with their property by any stretch of the imagination, but this allows us to be able to show this is the plan. Because we don't want to have restaurants in certain areas because it causes issues within the residents and with other offices and other businesses.
Jason, can I expound on that?
Please.
Okay. At the meeting I went to yesterday, it was really informative. I could not stay for the whole thing because I paid for it, but it doesn't matter. It went on today. I simply couldn't do it 2 days in a row. Sometimes these meetings, and you would know from having been in sorts, and they can be overwhelming with information. You get after a while and you say, which speaker was this? Two or three things really caught me. One was zoning. The other one was housing. And I have brochures like crazy, and I'll share them with you, with everybody, particularly the Planning Commission needs to have these, that zoning is not forever. Zoning can change. And it's a very sensitive issue. And I had no idea how zoning came to this country. The first city in America to have zoning was New York. Did you know that? I didn't know that. So, and then it spread to other places. And in Virginia, we have state laws that deal with this, and we need to be in compliance with them. And we are. We always check that. But zoning changes. It's a fluid thing. And that helps. And I have visited places where there is a peaceful coexistence between business and residents. But it's the type of businesses and what they do and the residents who also have considerations that need to be heard and listened to. So I think we can move forward in this. And having served on the Planning Commission for a long time, I don't know everything by a long shot, but I learned a lot. And when you have it, you really need to enforce it, but you also can change it, and which you are saying. And but there are ways, and we need. I would suggest that we recognize our historic districts somehow. We do. We have nothing that recognizes them, so the value of them is only in words, and it is not as strict as some people might think. It's been a long time since I worked in that area for the town, but it was very interesting, and it's not as quite restrictive as some people think. In fact, statistics show. I'm turning to my stat man. That this kind of zoning increases property value. And who doesn't own property? They don't want it to go up. Okay, I could carry on about it, but it was pretty interesting. And then also housing. Housing is a shortage everywhere, not just in Richlands. And I couldn't help but think of Irvin and his dream for the building, and I'm glad it's doing what it is doing, Seth. But they're talking about housing and tiny houses, I've heard that mentioned, but they're not really hip on that right now. Hip, whatever you want to call it. But they are talking about small homes that many people move to a town where there is available housing, apartments, yes, available housing where they want a yard, they want a small yard. They don't want to buy until they can see if they really like it here or anywhere, and so they're willing to do it. And they are looking for homes of various sizes to rent until they see if this is where they want to put down roots. Maybe that could resonate with people. So I'll try to bring these brochures to you, and you can copy them and give them to the council. This is not exclusive information. Information is to be shared. It is never meant to be hoarded or lorded. Thank you.
I have a question, Ron. Speaking of housing, the Big Creek Housing Project, are we still collecting funds?
No, we're not. It's actually, the reason I know about it is because we talked about it as one of the accounts that we have.
Yeah.
We're not, and that's one of the ones that we're probably going to bring back to you to be able to close out and talk about what do we do with that, the remaining funding there to be able to do it. There's a couple of those that we've had bank accounts for projects that were started or ended several years ago where we have not huge sums of money, but enough to be able to keep a bank account open and be able to do it. So that will be one that will come back to you.
Oh, sorry. I just am excited at what I got to hear yesterday, and I cannot remember all of it. Things that people are looking for are biking and walking within the range of their homes. And, excuse me, it's contagious, Dan. I'm advocating that we somehow pursue this trail because it's important. Okay, so, Jordan, anything else?
I'm good. I just want to reiterate, I'm in support of the business downtown. I'm reiterating that. I want all to be happy. I don't know a solution. That's why we handed it to the town manager.
Well, I think we'll find one and everybody be happy. We'll dance together. I'd rather dance with people separately. I've ever gone on the dance floor. Let Mr. Mayor Curry just tell you, you want to dance, but your partner doesn't want to dance, and you ever go out on the floor by yourself? It's fun, but it's not the same. Okay? It is true. It takes a lot of guts, by the way. Okay, Rick.
Well, I really think it's a good thing we've got businesses that's having problems with parking. That is a move forward, not a move backwards. And we're getting new business. Today I had my hair cut at a new barber shop right across from Wells Fargo in the old glass building. So, and they're actually wanting to do a ribbon cut, and I told them we would assist them with that.
Yeah.
So,
How long did it take you to get your hair fit?
it don't take long. I can tell you that.
It's okay, Rick.
About the same time it would you.
I kind of think.
Okay.
Listen, I have had so much going on in my life too, Laura. A day without a laugh is a wasted day, and we do not want to waste any day at all. Thank you.
No.
My kids brought me a wig, an enormous blonde wig, and insisted that I put it on. I said, no pictures, no videos, no social media. I was a good sport. Thank you. Go.
Purcell Road, we've got some low-hanging trees that we need to kind of trim back. They're in the bad curves. And everything else I've pretty much passed on to you that I had today. So I have talked to the paving company superintendent today, well, yesterday, I believe. And they are planning to move in Wednesday, start getting everything here Wednesday, but he's got like a day and a half of walking the paver out, so that's what's got us held up. But they are moving to start paving by the first of the week. So that's about all I have.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rod.
Okay, Gary is not here tonight. He is on vacation. I contacted him. He said he won't be back in time. So Seth, all yours, my friend.
I don't have a whole lot tonight, but I do want to say just, again, thank you. I know to reiterate everything that everyone else is saying. And Jason, you can let our town employees know that we see them doing a good job. And, I'll tell you, there's a lot of years that I lived in this town that I don't think everyone here had the pride that they have right now for this town. And it's a contagious thing. When you begin to do things in your town, you begin to make an improvement. You saw the ladies from the garden club here tonight putting flowers out. And you guys did a good job of stopping traffic, slowing everybody down, making sure they were safe, because it is dangerous on that bridge. And, but it was good to see all of that. These are people who are volunteering their time, their efforts, and their energy, and their money, I guess, too, to help do that. And, and I saw those guys working on Kents Ridge. Anybody that traveled Kents Ridge, they were going at it to prepare for a date. Of course, it didn't happen, but they were prepared. We were ready. It's not our fault. We were ready, but the paving company wasn't. But they did a really good job, and I heard that you had crews that probably have never done some of those things pitch in. I was glad to see that. It was just good to see everybody working. And I saw something the other day, and they were just talking about that it costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you nothing to say a nice word. So I'm determined that at the end of these meetings, I'm going to spend a few minutes and just do that and talk about how good of a job that people are doing. It's easy to come in here and in politics, in government, it's always, you come to these meetings and sometimes it is the most negative, contentious.
It gets intense.
Yeah, it gets intense. And that is, I'm not saying that's not part of it, and I'll sit here and listen to anything anybody has to say, that's fine. But there's also something to be said that we need to be positive, because the direction that this town is going in is the most positive direction that's been in years. We have a fantastic police force. We have great street crews. We have new leadership in many of these spots in town, but these guys are doing a really good job. And it makes me proud to say that I live in Richlands, and I think that those improvements are just going to continue. I know you've already mentioned this, but Friday is the rededication ceremony. Now, I was at the last rededication ceremony. I'm not sure. No. It was a rededication, yeah. I didn't make the first one, but I watched it when I do remember watching Ellen paint. I was fascinated when I was a little boy. I remember watching her paint it the first time. When we rededicated it, last time we were in the police station, we had the doors up. I don't know if it was raining. I can't remember why, but we went over to the police station. We opened the doors, and you could.
Weather.
Yeah, it was bad weather, and so I was there for that, and so I plan on being there Friday, and hopefully, if Ellen wants to paint it again in 20 years, we'll I'll make that one too. But I think the mural looks great, and I haven't really gotten the whole gist. I'm interested to hear her, but I know they did this differently this time. So I'm very interested in that and learn a little bit more about that. Yeah, the process. So I think it looks great.
That was largely citizen-driven.
Yeah,
There was financial contributions, but citizens just collectively did the hands-on with Ellen.
I'd heard some of that. I'm really interested to hear about that. But anyway, I plan on being there Friday. I think it was, it looks really good, and that's just one more positive thing in town. And honestly, I think that's about all that I have, Jason. But you guys are doing a fantastic job. You're making plans, And I'll say this too, that we had a meeting recently with the county. And you guys, sometimes, everybody out there in the public, they don't get to see everything that goes on. But one of the biggest things that we have an issue with right now is taking our trash. We have to drive our trash trucks all the way to the landfill. And it's a problem. And so here we are on this meeting, and the folks from the county, it was kind of I don't want to say contentious, but they're in this big budget cycle, and I'm like, look, you've been leading us on for 2 years, and you have to do this. So we kind of pushed them into a position where, we had Cedar Bluff there, and they're with us because they're in the same boat that we are. So anyway, that's going to get done. It's going to take some time, but that's going to make things better for us, and it's going to cost us less money. But sometimes the whole point of what I was saying was that we are in a place where we want to plan for the future. And in government, if you are reactive to what's going on, you are behind, and it takes you years to catch up. If we continue this trend and we begin to be proactive, you heard Jason talking about paving, that is 3 years down the road. That's being proactive in government. And last thing, I promise.
Oh, go ahead. There's no limits.
Jason has had some discussions, and I've talked with him, and I know he's talked some in here, but about a plan for Front and Second Street that will slow traffic down, which is definitely a need, open up more parking, which is also becoming a need, and make town look better. Mm-hmm. And so I think as we begin to go through that process and plan that, I think that it's going to help. Just like what you're talking about with this business over here, that is not a unique situation. That is happening multiple places in town right now. And, you have the problem with, we live in this society where you should be able to just to pull up to wherever you want to. That's how our mentality is. You know, it's not like that in the city. You go to Richmond, you go somewhere else, you park blocks away and then you walk. That's not how it is here, and we all realize that it's a little bit different, thinking. And the people who live there, obviously, you don't need to block their driveways, but it's street parking. Nobody's got a sign out there that says, "This is my parking." This is not a unique situation over here. It's going on through all out town, but it is a good problem. We just need to come up with more parking ideas, and I think some of the things that Jason's talking about as we progress forward with Second Street and Front Street, we're going to be able to fix some of those things and add some additional parking to the town to make some of those things better. Growth is not always easy, and there are growing pains when you're dealing with some of these things, but I think if people will be patient and we figure out a way, you can't fix that problem until you know that it is a problem, but I think we can work through those things. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you, Seth, and I agree with everything you said. Go ahead, Rick. Yes. Positive conversation spurs positive conversation. Please, move forward.
Same thing, a lot of the people, but our EMS and our fire department, we're getting to where we're top-ranked people there now. It's something really to be proud of, because if you have to call 911, you always want the best to come and get you. So, I want to thank the guys and ladies there that's doing all that for us to help us, to keep us all safe. I do want to mention them.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thank you.
Rick, I'll have to say I agree with you, because for the first time I had to call 911 last week, and I really appreciated those guys.
The 911 number has been a blessing to this town. I mean, it was fit for a long time, and Laura worked hand at hand to get this done. And I am so thankful she did, because people don't have to dial the whole number. They hit 3 numbers, and you're talking to somebody. And when we changed, the big deal that I seen was down at the police station. Everybody was worried about having a safe place. Well, you can still run in the police station. They may not be an officer there, but they're a phone, pick it up, and the seconds there'll be an officer there. And we've not had no problem that I know of on any. Now, we may have a little glitch here, glitch there. You're gonna have that if it's a perfect world. You're going to.
It's not perfect.
Because, well, it could be perfect, but wires gets crossed in
Yeah,
different
I
places.
understand. Yeah.
So I'm just so thankful we're moving, this council is moving us in the right direction, and we're starting to see things develop that, once was, that's left, but things are coming back now. So I'm tickled. Thank y'all for working with me so closely too.
Thank you, Rick, for your service. Anybody else?
Me.
Laura?
I do want to point out that we are losing a big piece of public art if Mrs. Elms would like to restore. I noticed the other day something that is going away that has been there since I was born, but Thundar is fading off of that bridge, and it is kind of sad.
I probably can find the people who did it, and they could restore it. I don't want to say it publicly, but I do know. I could tell you, but
I will.
it's past the statute of limitations, but I'm going to hold, okay?
I will come up with the funding to restore that, to restore Thundar, because when I passed it the other day, I was like,
Well, I've thought about it. It could be a local legend. Halloween, I can just see it happening, crawling right up to the bank and crawling into the buildings, and you just never know what kind of stories we can tell here.
it's true.
What else, Laura?
Mr. May, I just want to tell you what Thundar is, because it is.
Have you seen it?
So on the bridge that's about to be replaced, I have a very solid theory of who Thundar is at this stage of the game. But I guess way back when, someone waded through the water. If you're standing on the bridge and you look off to the right side where the old train tracks are, and someone waded out there and painted I think they meant to spell Thunder Lives, but spelled it incorrectly.
Thundar.
So it says Thundar Lives, and it's held up all these years.
Laura, the other intention was Bigfoot. Go ahead.
But
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm not going to say anymore.
You didn't steal my thunder. That's it. And it is sad. In all seriousness, it is sad to see it.
Well, I appreciate the lightheartedness and the fact that graffiti art is considered savable art. And an example of that is in Berlin. When the Berlin Wall came down, they were tearing it down in chunks. And all of a sudden, they said, whoa. And they've saved parts, and there are pieces and parts of it all over the world. And the one, and they're sure they're at Tech, at the University of Virginia, they have a large piece of the wall. Can I go? Everybody good? Do you have anything you want to add?
The wall's gone now, but
It is?
yeah,
It was.
it's not in front of Alderman anymore.
Oh, how terrible.
Just left this year.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, maybe we can get one here. There are ways. All right, now, mayor's comments. The first thing I want to do, at our last meeting, I purposely did not say anything about the police department painting the section house because we want to do something for them other than a thank you, but we don't know what that's going to be, and we're working on it. This is the section house board. But I want to say publicly, thank you, Chief Holt, and all those members of the PD and members of the street department, others who pitched in to help paint it. When he first contacted me about this, he was the interim manager. And I said, we just don't have any money to do this. And he had money he could transfer to buy the paint, and that's what he did. We have the paint, and we still have the paint. And it's much more than people think. It's a small house, but it's an old house, and it's bigger than people think. And they did a fantastic job, Matt, on the front of the house. I think Corey came to help, didn't he? He was representing our board because they asked if someone could be there, and I was still working. Anyway, we're appreciative, grateful. The front of the house looks absolutely smashing. They scraped it really well to remove most of the alligator skin, and it is beautiful. But they simply didn't have the energy or the manpower and the time to do the rest of the house. So that being said, I brought this big check over here to Jason yesterday, and so I told him how exciting that was, and he told me about this excess money. I said, do we have money to finish painting the section house? It is public property. And he said, well, I've got to allocate it for this. So he asked me how much. I really don't have an idea. I could shoot it out of a cannon, but that's not an accurate figure. But I do hope that at some point in time, the town will help us with paint. What we've been doing there for 14 years is volunteering. It's the best game you'll ever get, volunteers manning this house. That I'm saying that in truth. And we've all contributed money, not just time, loads of time, talent, resources, and money to do all kinds of things. For the longest time, we bought our own toilet tissue. I won't go into that. Okay? You can let that one stand, and please strike that from the record. But no, it's fine. I'm not here to control the clerk. We had a real Christmas tree, and that was done by private funds, okay? And I'm working on that now. Those are not easy to come by or pay for. So that is true. We were so proud of it. And 2 for the front and 1 for the back. The other things, I hope that we can consider that, council, and some other, if we ever have a little overrun of money, we can throw it a little bit toward painting a piece of history. And it is important. And this fired me up yesterday when I got to go to this conference. So, Laura, I can only imagine how fired up you got to be with all these swords and conferences and all these wild people that you hung out with. You told me about it, and I thought, my God, she's going to be a sinner. But it's okay. It's okay. We have to have a little fun in life. And I do think, it's okay, Mike, and I do think that we can change our zoning. Things are fluid, always fluid. But if you do it, you got to stick with it until it changes. I have lots of ideas on that, and I would like to share it in the proper time. The next thing. I want to thank Randy Smith for 30 years of service on the Planning Commission. When I met with Jason yesterday, I realized there were some appointments coming up this month, and some people had indicated to me they were willing to serve. And Jason said he preferred to have that ready for us in July, and I believe council will be well suited to go with some of these people who have beginning to get a little bit of service and time and experience. And when that comes up, I hope that will be the case. Randy has served on the Planning Commission for 30 years. He was on the Planning Commission when we were trying to have a boundary adjustment. We call it annex. I was always told it really is a boundary adjustment. There's a slight difference. So that being said, he really has pitched his time for this town. And another person who did that, who never got recognized, and I want to say something for Nancy Jessie Henderson, who was on the Planning Commission for 20 plus years, hosted it at her store, provided all the snacks every time. Thank you, Nancy. We forget these things. So people who haven't been here don't know, now they do. That being said, yes.
How much is it going to cost to paint the section house?
I don't know. I pulled a figure out, but it's not a good figure. I would really have to get a figure, and then it might require an RFP.
So that's why I was asking.
It
Can you get that? I mean, if it's over like what 10,000, it's going to have to. But
yeah.
Can you get that figure for
We
us?
can.
Because
We can. Well, I would prefer to go through the town because it's town property rather
however
than
we
me
want
personally
to
reaching out.
do this, I'll say it. I know he's kind of coming close to saying it, but I'll say it. Previous people have really given him a very hard time about the section house, and it has been kind of an ignored property. So if it needs to be painted, I'm of the mindset it's town property.
Laura, I really appreciate that, and I have not suffered. I have grown stronger because when you love something, you work for it. The other thing, go ahead. Let me finish this just a minute. I want to recognize Randy Smith, and I don't know that a resolution is called for because we have loads of people who've retired from this town at 30 years, and done lots more. But he deserves a public recognition. So please let the record reflect that this council thanks Randy Smith for his service of 30 years on the Richlands Planning Commission. Please let the record reflect. Thank you.
Rod, could we not get Mike to do a resolution for him and present it?
If that is the will of the council. My only concern about these things is we have other people who have done these things, and I don't want to be caught in the middle of they did it for Randy and not him. So I'll defer to the council, but I just want it, you understand where I'm coming from. But I do appreciate that very much. And I know that Nancy, when she left the commission, no, I've said enough, okay? And I'm very close to Nancy. Her mother was like a second mother to me and a right arm at Curry's. And Jason, you don't know this, but I want you to know, Lib Jesse, whose father-in-law was a town manager here, IT Jesse, Randy's grandfather that we talked to, Randy Jesse. He's very connected to the railroad world. Worked at Curry's for 30 years. She was a registered nurse. She could have made way more money than she ever made from us, but she found her niche at Curry's. And the reason is I'm telling things that are important to me and to life here in Richlands. She said, I took my work home from the hospital. It was live or die, and I was about to ruin my family. And I found Curry's, and Mr. Curry offered me a job. I took it, and she was a natural. Thank you, Mrs. Jessie. We all have these stories. We could all tell them, and they mean so much to me. So, that being said, whatever, I will defer to council on resolutions. I also want to mention that I would like for you to, I thought I had Jason Shepard's phone number, but I don't have the correct one. I do need to get in touch with him. I have an appointment tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in Bristol with a dental oral surgeon. Always something. But he needs to get the tent that the section house bought with our money, not budgeted money. I want to be really clear. we have a tent, and they would like to borrow it for the dedication of the mural on Saturday. So he might not know where the key is to that. I do, whatever. So I could be back tomorrow afternoon after, say, 3 o'clock if he could meet with me. Give him my number, please, and tell him to text me, will you?
Yes, sir.
We're all pitching in to make everything nice. It's happy. The other thing I want to tell you is about this save the date. And there's a mistake on there. We all make them, and I have Elaine Holmes. Dear Elaine, we'll make sure this is corrected. It said the past that makes the future better. I call that check as an A for effort. All right, if you're going to grade everything, I will go down in flames. I can assure you. So the next thing, it is important, and that mural reflects the history of Richlands. And I've been asked to speak, and I was told, Rod, 2 or 3 minutes. I've already got it down. The next thing, and that was for you too, sir. She told me. This Saturday, that is June the 14th, and I said, Ginger, it's Flag Day. She said, oh gosh, I forgot it. I'll get flags. So if you want the history of why it's Flag Day, I'll tell you later. 1777. Yes. The 15th is we're having a movie called Toy Story. If no one's ever seen it, it's a great story, great thing. I will be honest with you, I might not be there if there's not a bench to sit on because I can't get down there and get up without the jaws of life. So thank you. But it'll be really fun, free popcorn for everybody, etc. And if you could put some flags out over there for Flag Day to follow up, it'd be continuous with the theme of Flag Day. The next thing, I'm on it. Susan Witt, who is a dear human being that we all love very much. She's worked for this town for many years, needs our prayers and our support. She probably would not like me saying this publicly, so I'm going to end it right here. After we come back from our closed session, I would like to have a benediction for Susan. Her husband is in dire straits. Thank you. I have 1,000 more things to say. Dear members of council, I am so happy to serve with you, and I will do everything in my power to do the best I can, as long as I'm living for this town, because this is my home. Home is where the heart is. One of the things, I sent this to Jason, that I gleaned from this, more than statistics. Hold on, let me go to my text. And that's why I ask about aesthetics, and I'm so glad that Seth is restoring the old school to what it became, the Dallas building. We all know that, and you referenced that. But it is what it is, and it looks really pretty. And other people are making concerted efforts. If it's plant a flower, plant a tree, whatever, it works. Let me find something here, please. Hold on. I want to read this. It resonated with me. I'm a heart kind of guy, but I've had to be a money kind of guy because I spend a lot of it, okay, personally.
While you're finding that, Jan and I just were talking about when he brought up Jason Shepherd. I guess Jason, or the Public Works, took down the Freedom Festival banners last year, and we don't know where they are.
They need to be up
We
in
need
advance.
them. Yeah, we need them. Yeah, but we
I've
do
got
need
lots
them.
of ideas on Freedom Fest and Christmas. We just got to get the money. All right, here we go. I'm serious, really serious. It's not a lot of money, it just takes little bits of money. Here we go. This was said by a lady from Virginia Tech who wrote a book, The All Right Books, That's How You Keep Your Job. I get it. And these are not New York Times bestsellers, but they're really good things on zoning and housing. At the end of the day, after the money, people make an emotional connection to where they live. That's why we're here. Thank you. I conclude my speech. I promise it will not be like this on Friday. And if I get carried away, just save me, raise your hands and say, Dear God, thank you. I mean it.
Can I point out one more thing?
Yes.
I forgot to do this, and you guys made me think of it with the resolution. I have a love-hate relationship with all the resolutions for people because it can get overwhelming, but it takes very little of their time. There was a gentleman who just passed away in town who, Johnny Honaker Sr., and he worked with the Richlands Police Department. I was trying to see, I think it's 38 years. Yep, 38 years. So I know his family, and they're really great people. And
I'm mad to this.
yeah, please
I
take it from
taught
here.
with Melissa Honaker. She was Melissa Nipper, and this family, they're wonderful people. So I don't know how we can recognize people, as you're right, the resolutions can get flowing like the water. I don't know how to do it, but let's think about it.
Yeah, because there's so many people that
Out
deserve
here,
that
we've got
recognition.
people out here, tons of them. Okay. Does anybody else have anything to say before we go into executive session? Okay.
I wanted to mention,
Yes.
there was a special meeting called for June the 25th, I believe.
Yes.
I'm not of the opinion that special called meeting is necessary. The home that is in discussion currently has water, has sewer, has electric. They're working through the conditional use permit. That would be able to be seen at the July meeting, do a joint meeting with you and the planning commission, the same that you did this evening, and be able to deal with that conditional use permit at that time. Given that, I'm not sure that the
I'm
June-
glad, let me finish that, ma'am.
Please.
I'm glad that you mentioned it. When I signed that, Laura called me to ask me what it was. And then when I saw you yesterday, she said, "What is this?" I'll tell you how that happened, and I don't know all the details, but the good thing is we're helping somebody. There's nothing bad ever about an effort to help people. And that's my biggest takeaway on this. But Gary had called me, and I missed his call. He called about 10 o'clock at night. My phone record showed I was in bed. And I called him at 6:30 in the morning. He was there because I got up pretty early at that time and still am out of habit. And he explained to me these people, I don't know who they are, that they were in dire straits. They didn't have any utilities at all. He had talked to Rick. He talked to Jordan. And both of them agreed this needed to be done. So I was under the impression that they were going to call it, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you're doing good, it doesn't matter. Do all the good you can, everywhere you can, every way you can, every day you can, said John Wesley. So that's where we are. And so Susan, I called Susan. I said, "Susan, have you talked with these people, Jordan and Rick?" She forwarded an email to me from Jordan. He was okay with it. I want to explain it, and I didn't hear from Rick, but I just assumed that was the way it was. But when I heard the good news that they are not living in heat and no water and no plumbing, I said, this is good. So unless other members of council feel that we need to have it, we can postpone that and have it in July. Is everyone acceptable to that?
I think that's bad.
Is that everyone acceptable to that? Now, if we hadn't gotten it fixed, I would not let this fly.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
then
so that's
just
it.
my
Can.
point in it so I guess the night before that all this happened, I started getting just massive tags and posts on Facebook of people saying, "Help, help," So when I saw it, I was actually in a meeting at the county till 9:30 that night. And I didn't see it until 9:30 that night, but I sent the screenshots to Chief Holt, and I sent it to him at 9:30 that night. By 8:15 the very next morning, he sent me a text back, and he said, the town crew and I have it taken care of. We're on our way right now to make sure it's hooked up on like a work site or emergency, whatever
well,
it was.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so he had it. And the town, I think Mr. Shelton from the town and Chief Holt had it completely under control. And
Jordan, did you want to add something?
Sure. I mean, similar to Laura, I woke up to messages on Facebook and ultimately ended up on the phone with someone, a member of this family, explaining the situation. At that current time we were speaking, there was no water. It was bad conditions. As long as that's taken care of, I'm fine with that. And the only other request I'll make is that we send an email out to Gary tonight and make sure that he's good with that too.
I will text him before we finish
that would make me feel perfectly.
Jordan, I have talked to Gary, and Gary, I told you,
Have you talked to
Gary,
him?
I have talked to Gary and told him that me and Jason had,
And he's good.
everything was cleared up, and he was good not having the meeting.
And the citizens are taken care of.
Thank you.
And the
Okay.
citizens are, so we've all worked together
The
to
main
get
thing
the
is we fix the
problem.
problem and nobody's hurt.
Yes.
Now, let me say one more thing before we go into executive session. We do have another special call meeting. Jason had texted me some time back, was I okay with the special call meeting on the 18th because Quantum Power wanted it? I said yes. And so I texted today. I said, do I need to come sign it? He said, I have it ready this evening. So this is how it reads. Special call meeting of the Richlands Town Council for June, called by council members Seth White, Laura Mallow, and Jan White, is scheduled for June 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Richlands Town Hall. At 200 Washington Square, Richlands, Virginia. Topic, natural gas generator. I signed it. Amanda signed it. Is everybody okay with this? Yep. Okay. So we'll meet with them and discuss the natural gas powered generator project. Any further things here?
Just the reason that was necessary, just so you know, was the report from the power engineers wasn't going to be ready before our meeting tonight. We tried to get them to come to our meeting tonight to save another meeting,
I kind of figured
But,
it was
yeah.
something like this.
but that's why. So anyway, it'll be ready and they wanted to present.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Anything that helps people or an attempt to help people is what we're trying to do. All right, so we have an executive closed session coming up. Is there a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7? Did I read it correctly?
So moved for pending litigation.
Yes, pending
So moved.
litigation. All right, and there is a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Okay, Seth,
Yes.
Rick. Yes. Jordan.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
And Laura.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. We'll move into the conference room. Thank you. This meeting of the Richlands Town Council will now reconvene. Is there a motion to come into open session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Rick Wood makes the motion to come into open session. We were in, and is seconded by Seth, we were in there for pending litigation, Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7. Is there any discussion on this motion? There being no discussion, Seth?
Yes.
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 Jordan? Jan?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Now, is there a motion to certify that nothing was discussed other than pending litigation per Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7? By voting positively, you're saying nothing was discussed other than this strict code.
I'll make that,
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Rick makes the motion.
Second.
Seth makes the second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Seth?
Yes.
Yes.
Rick? Gordon?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Yes.
The motion carries. It is unanimous. Now, before I ask for an adjournment, is there any other business that needs to come before this council? Okay, before I ask for an adjournment, I would like for us to stand and have a benediction for Susan and John. Let us hold hands, please. We gotta bow our heads. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Susan and John. Amen.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Is there a motion
Second
to
it.
adjourn?
Second.
Seth made the motion and Laura has the second. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.